Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Oh shit. Alright, here we go. Alright guys, we're back. ThatApplejack here with part 2 of my Raid Shadow Legends account intro video. So, last time I talked a lot about general things about my account, my goals, and how I've progressed through the game. And I finished it off talking a bit about my dragon roster, but I realized I kind of got to step back a bit and show you guys the bones of my account before I kind of jump into all that. So, I am on day 176. Tomorrow I get this big juicy energy bonus that's going to be right in line with the Kreela fusion event, which is pretty awesome. I couldn't have planned that out better, to be honest. Speaking of which, big news. Big news. Okay, so let me tell you guys a story, okay? Double Sacreds started yesterday, right? Everybody's been looking forward to this. Everybody's got their Sacreds, you know, they're ready to go. I didn't. I had one singular sacred on my account. So I'm going into this event like, alright, I got one. I'm not going to get anything good. All I need to do is use my sacred during one of these champion rush events to get the shards that I need. Which I'll get further into the shards later on. But I'm like, alright. So I'm getting ready for work, sitting down, and I really wish I'd recorded. I cracked open my only sacred shard. And ladies and gentlemen, I pulled a fucking skull crusher. Well, let's just say I'm glad I was sitting down. It was 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm yelling in the bathroom. Yeah, skull crusher. It was good stuff. I couldn't have been happier with the only pull that I made during this event. Skull crusher is gonna be game changing. He's gonna revolutionize my clan boss. He's gonna propel a lot of my dungeon progress. This guy is gonna be a monster for my account. And I know just what to do with him. Know what to build, how to build him to make the maximum use of him. I'm looking forward to bringing you guys content with this guy at the forefront of that. Um, wish I could have recorded it, guys, but hey, that this is you'll get to see the content that I create with him, which is going to be just as good. So that's the big news on that. Obviously, this Kreela Fusion Shard, whatever you want to call it, event is going on right now, and I did the math, and I'm actually able to do this. I'm actually going to be able to pull this chick out. I haven't been in a spot on most of these fusion events where I've been able to accumulate and pool enough resources to push through the uh, the event in general without spending money. Which that's obviously the major goal is to not spend any money with this game in order to get ahead. Um, Itchy nose, don't judge me. So I decided that I was going to figure out on announcement if it was going to be feasible for me to pull this off. To pull this chick because she's going to be another big deal for my account. I don't have an ally attack champion. I narrowly missed my opportunity to pull the Catacomb Counselor out of the earlier fusion event. I missed a tournament or something to that effect and just didn't have one of the rares to fuse that guy. I was a lot less prepared for that fusion event with the information that I was given. So this time I did it right. As you guys can see, I burned all my shards. I went into this event, this fusion, knowing that I'm going to need to dump a lot of resources just to be able to pull the shards to be able to get this character. I knew they were going to paywall and stick the majority of the shards behind these champion chase or summon rush events. That's how they do. We know Plarium, and they want to make money, and they understand that the instant gratification players that aren't able to hold on to their pool of resources are going to dump their shards, and then this event's going to pop up, and they're going to be, oh my gosh, I need to get a bunch more shards. And how are they going to do that? Well, yeah, so they make money. So what I've done, I blew my Sacred Shard, obviously, to get the 500 points from that. I had a handful of Ancient Shards that I popped as well to get some more points rolling, and that pushed me up to where I'm only a few points shy. I'm at 900 now, so I need another 170 points, and what I'm going to do is I've got 237 green shards. So I'm going to pop through the rest of these green shards, and that'll get me to where I need to be to get the shards from that. That's going to be a big enough chunk that with the rest of the event going on, as long as I keep actively participating here, I'll be able to accumulate enough shards to pull this legendary. The timing kind of sucks. I won't lie, because I pulled Skull Crusher at the beginning of an event or a series of events where I'm not really going to be able to put any resources into building this guy yet. I need to just focus on getting Kreela if I actually realistically want to pull that legendary, and I do. I think she's going to be a big deal for my account. At that point, I'm going to have counterattack covered and ally attack covered. So that's going to open up a ton of team building opportunity, and I'm very excited about the idea of bringing that content to you guys. So, I'll talk about the sparring hall real quick. I use this to level food. I really I recommend unlocking all the first levels of this, and then just sticking level 2s in here, and they will constantly level up for you. Then whenever you're deciding to push food, you can you already have a good stockpile of already leveled characters to push up to 3 stars or to 4 stars, and it makes the impact of, oh, now I gotta grind out 5 stars to get this character built. It does bring it helps a lot. Anything you can do to kind of lessen the blow of starting off on a 6-star grind is going to be really beneficial. I'm holding on to this energy right now. So I talked a little bit about my progress missions. I've gone quite a ways. I'm getting there. Most of this, I'm going to be honest, this is all going to be a joke. Joke, joke, joke. Like gold 1, I'm sitting in gold 1 right now. I've been to gold 4 on this account a couple times. It's gotten progressively harder to push up through the gold ranks, and the teams that you start fighting towards gold 2, gold 3, gold 4 just get bananas. Um, because arena has been a lower priority for me as well as far as my account direction. I'm a bit behind where I should be as far as my speed totals. I'm running what's called like a double boost setup, where I've got Apothecary into Gorgrab, into either Mashalid or Stagnite, and then Ray. But as you can see, like Apothecary is quick, but I could do a lot better. I need to bring his speed gear up quite a bit. I need to bring Gorgrab's speed up as well. His speed is still too low. I give my opponents opportunity to cut in. He's used in a couple of my dungeon rosters. Spider in particular comes to mind as a increased attack enabler for my ultimate Gaelic. So I don't really have the freedom to slim his build to more speed right now. I'd like to, and I'm going to get there eventually with him. But as long as I'm using him in my dungeon rosters, I'm probably going to keep him in a bulkier setup. It's more important for me to have a confident Spider 20 auto clear than to have 100% no cut in opportunity in arenas. and that's just because right now my account focuses on getting gear, and eventually I will worry about pushing specifically and exclusively arenas. I feel like by lowering the priority on this and pushing it back as much as possible, you massively help your account just progress as quickly as you can towards being in a position where you can be successful in late game arenas. You need to build up the means of which to get your characters capable to be there, to get the gear, to get the glyphs, and everything that's required to be in the top end arena. So right now as a defense team, I've got the Mashalid set up. This character swap slot I swap with Stag Knight a lot. It just depends on the team makeup that I'm fighting and what I think I'm gonna need. If I get the double boost and Mashallah gets a turn in, and then they cut in and manage to kill Ray, there's a lot of chance that Mashallah can actually pull out a win. Just getting a turn in on Mashallah can oftentimes get me a win, just with how powerful his kit is, bringing the True Fear AoE debuff, and he can single-handedly win games, and does single-handedly win games for me. On the setup that I get the double boost, Mashallah goes and Ray goes against the team. If I don't win that first clear, I'm probably going to bring Stag Knight in and try him as well. To see if the decreased defense is enough to let my Ray just one-shot their whole team, or at least kill half their team or so. So I try and bounce this roster around a little, but this is basically the core. Double boost setup into debuffer into AoE nuke. Ray has been my AoE nuke forever. Basically since Aethel. I used Aethel as my starter for a long time. Ray was actually the third legendary I pulled, and the first good one. The first two legendaries I pulled were kind of memes. It was a little unfortunate, actually. I got Lol Chamfort. What can we say about Lol Chamfort? Okay, so this guy is so bad that they buffed him. They buffed his whole kit, and he's still completely unusable. So they buffed him after I pulled him as my first legendary. So when they did the buff, I got, I was, oh, maybe he'll be good. But no, uh, this guy is just really, really bad. He's too inconsistent to be used anywhere. He can do these fun, like I've seen the video where I think him and Jerry get 2-man Ice Golem 20, and it's like, oh, cool, that's it's nifty, buddy, but that, I mean, that doesn't really do anything for you, right? Like, what do you need to do that for? You probably want to kill Ice Golem 20 quickly, right? Like, so aside from weird meme comps, I do not believe this guy's that good. He they changed his scaling so that he scales off of HP, so that you would think you'd be able to build him like a Sir Nick, right? You'd think he'd be like the brother to Sir Nick, but his damage doesn't scale nearly as well as Sir Nicholas. So, and his kit doesn't provide nearly the benefit or the utility that Sir Nick does. Decreased accuracy is just a bummer. Even with them putting the decreased defense debuff here, they they left it at a hard 45% chance, and that is so unreliable. You can't. That means you can't really rely on this guy as a decreased defense, and you can only inconsistently rely on him for decreased attack. So I could see where you know maybe certain rosters that are lacking on decreased attack champion might use him for a little while, but I don't believe it's good. I was very bummed out when I pulled this guy as my first legendary. Then I pulled Molly. No, I'm not going to take anything away from Molly. Molly's good for what she does. She does the AoE provoke. She's great as a arena lockup champion. She brings the res. I was very disappointed when I pulled this champion because she's not really that useful at all for what I needed as far as progressing my account, which is why she's kind of sat in the not geared, not used rack. Um, but she could be. If I allocated good resources into her and I built her the way she's supposed to be built, I could make some use out of Molly, and I definitely will eventually. For the moment, I've got plenty of AOE control though, plenty of good options that are already built. So aside from looking towards spirit affinities, I'm just not really sure when it's going to come about that I want to build her. At the moment, she's kind of a faction war hero, and even at that, well, I've got a pretty good lineup of dwarves. Alright. Give me one quick second here. Alright, so we're back. Yeah, we've had a few. Oh, and we're guest starring Kitten now. We've had a few hiccups here, mostly due to using a Fisher Price as my very first computer. Uh, Not the top end of tech, but hey, we got to use what we got, right? So, oh, I guess she didn't want to be on camera. Sorry. So I was going into talking about the dragon roster, and I think I went through and finished off on ice golems. Um, Ice golem 20 is on a confident auto farm. Basically, the team core is why the team does so well. For the most part, Gorgorab and Ultimate Gaelic are kind of there as plus. They actually die now and then, and Ray goes down as well. Sometimes, every now and then, I'll have bad RNG. They'll push the boss down a little too quickly, and people get blown up. But Stagnite and Mashalid can actually two-man the boss. They've done it many a time. I would even say they might be able to push through the waves on their own. Like if I was to two-man run this, these two would do a pretty dang good job. If they can make it through the waves, it would take like a year, but they could kill the boss almost by themselves. So this team core works really reliably on auto, and that's why I use it. I could probably be a little more aggressive with it, but I'm happy. I'm happy with where it's at. There's really nothing in Ice Golems to even worry about. I really built the team just to have a team for farming Auto 20 for when tournaments came about. But the team is comprised of my Spider roster and just good champs. Like, there's nothing that I built for this dungeon, nor would I ever or recommend anyone ever do. There's just nothing of value in this dungeon. From there, I pushed through Spider Knights, and I got up to Spider 17 using the Ultimate Gaelic and Gorgorab Stagnite comp. I kind of bounced around using different other third and fifth slot characters, however you want to view it. But this is the core that I'm using right now. I didn't have Mashalid for the longest time. I was running just Apothecary in his position, and it worked basically just as well. The extra True Fear control provided by Mashalid and the massive attack scale on the Aura skill is definitely really helpful as far as bringing the run speed down and bringing a bit of control. But this this team started off a lot simpler. Um, I used just the AoE nuke comp to get through with like War Maiden, Ray, even the Zana at certain points. And I'll talk about how my team evolved through Spider in my future segments when I talk about how I pushed through the game at differing points. But Spiders on a Confident, Auto 20 clear, and once those three were done, I pushed into Fire Knights. Fire Knights has the end game sets. That's kind of the way I see it, where you have your immunity PvP sets, you have your crit damage sets, you have your stun sets, and like shield as well. So these are like the end game sets for once you already have enough speed and accuracy and other valuable stats to have the luxury of running these sets. So they weren't at all my focus through the early game, but once I cleared the other three dungeons on auto, I started making moves towards Fire Knight 20. And that basically meant building Lightsworn. Lightsworn for Fire Knights is just he's a champion. He's got a 3-hit A1 with the turn meter reduction. That alone kind of justifies bringing him. He's got the Void Affinity, so he never has the negative weak hits problem as you like for 18 and 19, and you still need a 3-hitter that brings solid kit. He brings the decreased attack and decreased speed, which are the two most valuable things to have when he brings the shield down, particularly decreased speed. Then the increased defense and revive on death. This is really a luxury buff. It's it's really good, but the odds of the buff being up when a character dies, if a character dies, eh, it's not nearly as good as a revive. Mostly he's here for the first two parts of his kit, and that is why building him propelled me from Fire Knight 17 just to Fire Knight 20, him alone. The issue when you start pushing through the later tiers of Fire Knight is having multi-hitters that can bring the shield down and still uh, contribute and make it through the waves of the differing affinities. So I had to build around that. Husk eventually ended up in this roster, or the earlier versions of it. I ran a few different setups, but this ended up being the way that I've been running it for this Fire Knight tournament for the Kreela thing. This is where all my energy's going right now as well. I can definitely fine tune this a little bit, but again, I'm happy with where it's at. I've got it down to right around a 4-minute clear, which for Fire Knights is I'm pretty content with. I think Fire Knights is particularly difficult to get a team that has a very solid and quick clear until you're much further into the game. But farming this dungeon is basically where I'm at on account progress. I'm at the point now where I can start picking up these sets and I can start rotating them into already existing builds, and it will propel my damage and it'll push me into the late game as far as having your immunity sets covered, your crit damage being in a place where it needs to be. You can't really hit the numbers that you need to without these sets, or you can't, run certain comps. Savage is another big set here that's paramount for true like big late game damage builds. You need your crit damage sets, you need your Savage sets. I don't really have any of that besides what I've farmed over the last week or so. I built the Fire Knight 20 roster rather, and I didn't have a reason to push Fire Knight yet, aside from needing the gear. But that's from a free to play, low spender perspective. That's almost never a reason to just push a dungeon. Like, you always want to be double dipping on events as much as you can. So I've been ready to push Fire Knights for a little while, but I haven't actually made the swing. I was waiting for a big event like the one we got right now, where I need to grind a Fire Knight tournament so I can hit the Fire Knight tournament, get the rewards from that, and get the gear sets for my characters that I want to enable future builds. Like, I definitely want to push more crit damage onto my Husk build, and onto my Ray, onto my Nizana. Basically, across the board, my common trend is that I have more accuracy than is necessary. Um, some of them are right where they need to be, right about 200, which is where I'm comfortable leaving them. But then I've got some characters that just have a lot more. Um, while Ice Golem does have a decreased accuracy debuff that he puts out, it's not really enough to justify having an overabundance of accuracy. So what my future plans and the push that I'm going to be doing is slimming these guys' accuracy down and getting them into the crit damage sets that they need to just really contribute damage. Speed is also gonna be revisited a little bit. I think I've got a bit more speed than I need in a couple places, like for Frozen Banshee. It's probably a little too much. I know she does outrun her buffs a little bit. This is slower though than I had her before. I really like her having a ton of turns, um, and consistently clogging that debuff bar with poison, keeping it full of poison debuffs. I think that's why she does the amount of damage that she does in my clan boss setup. So I'm happy with that. And that more or less covers the dungeons. I mean, I could go over the keeps, but really the only one that matters is this keep, Magic. And I mean, the team comp I'm running is pretty obvious on that one. The only thing is, I've got the AoE debuff or buffing buff strip right here. Ray brings an ability where she takes out all buffs on the enemy team, or banish. And then Gorgrab auto attack, his A1 also buff strips. And that's been enough for me to push through this dungeon. I haven't really spent a lot of time refining this though, to be honest. It clears it in like a minute. How much faster do I really need, you know? I don't really care too much about building these keeps up too much. You spend a very small amount of energy in the keeps. I really don't think they're worth contributing any resources towards building anything specifically around them. You should be able to knock them out with your already existing rosters between clan boss and just your dungeons. And that kind of goes into clan boss, which I'll definitely visit a lot more when I do the series where I'm talking about how my different champions were built to 60 and how they all rotated in and out of the Clan Boss roster at one time or another. For the most part, all of these guys, except for the few that I built towards the end, were basically built for one point or another being used in a Clan Boss roster. Barring Armaguard and Soulbound, these guys were kind of just built just because. You get in a spot where you have no epic books and you're looking for something to build that's going to push your account forward. These are the ways you go. Particularly Armagur, probably one of the most efficient characters to build in the game, just as far as not costing valuable resources and what he actually brings to your account. This guaranteed, reliable turn meter decrease. Armaguard, probably the strongest green in the game. A lot of people, even whales, will run this guy in their Spider 20 auto teams. So that should kind of point out just how solid his usefulness is when you have people that use him when they have a full roster of legendaries. And why do they do that? Well, that's because he brings this turn meter decrease. Basically, if the boss spider has more than 30% of a turn meter, he will always use this A1 attack and reduce her turn meter by 30%. So if you think about, like, if she's got decreased speed up and he's got increased speed up and suddenly he's lapping her, he can keep her turn meter effectively zeroed out for a vast majority of the fight. And that's pretty critical to pushing through the later stages of Spider. You can't let her take turns. A lot of the time you want to give her one turn cycle if possible, like one phase where she eats the spiders, because once she gets to this point where she's eaten all the spiderlings twice, not only are you looking at like a 6-minute run at best or whatever, but you're also going to start struggling just to keep up with the damage that she'll do. So that covers dungeons, and last but not least was the clan boss. I did talk about, like, I'm 2-keying it on average right now. We aren't in any kind of shape or way to look at pushing into Ultra Nightmare just yet. Kitty's here. But that's fine with me. We're building up, like, this lineup is twice as big as it was a couple weeks ago, We have a lot of players that are going to be pushing into Nightmare soon. It's also, I guess, kind of early in the day. There's normally a lot more people that have hit normal and hard. Once these guys move up to some more, we'll definitely have a good lineup of players to start looking at punching down Nightmare. What we did for the Brutal Push was when they did the raid update where they gave out everybody 2 extra clan boss keys. I coordinated with everyone and got in touch with them, told them, hey, hold your keys till tomorrow, and then everybody dumped 6 keys into Brutal or so, and we knocked it out. It was really cool, and I'm really looking forward to the Ultra Nightmare push as well. But there's a big year gap between Nightmare to Ultra Nightmare. Um, I'm pretty confident I could 4 key Ultra Nightmare if I was given the opportunity with maybe a little bit of adjustments to my current lineup. But I know the rest of the clan is going to want to be in Nightmare mode for a lot longer. I'd like to get into a spot where we're killing probably Brutal and pushing Nightmare. That'd be kind of cool. But long-term plans. Things take time in this game. We're still recruiting more members, trying to build up the roster, get some more heavy hitters in there, and it's a progress in work. I'm really happy with it. With how the clan's done so far. We started off, and we've pushed through all the difficulty levels together. It's been the same faces, the same lineup of people all the way through, and I guess that'll do it for this one, guys. Thank you guys for watching this intro video for Raid Shadow Legends. I hope some parts of it were useful, and if there's anything I left out or didn't really talk about thoroughly, please let me know in comments. Um, Other than that, good luck on shard pulls, boys. Have a good one.